Hi, Bob the Canadian here. Welcome to this English lesson where I'm once again going to help you learn how to talk about yourself in English by talking about myself in English. I know it seems kind of weird, but in this lesson I will tell you 8 things that you don't know about me. And this time I'm pretty sure they are 8 things that none of you know. While I do that, I will give you example sentences on how to express that. But I'll also tell you what the opposite is. So stick around. I'll help you learn how to describe yourself in English by describing myself in English. Well, hey, welcome to this English lesson where I'm going to help you learn how to describe yourself in English by talking about myself. Before we get started though, if this is your first time here, don't forget to click that red subscribe button over there and give me a thumbs up if this video helps you learn just a little bit more English. So what's the first thing I want to tell you about myself? Well, it's this. I like to be on time. I don't like to be late. I like to be on time for work. I don't like to be late for work. Whenever I go anywhere, I like to be on time. But what if you are the opposite of me? How would you describe the opposite of someone who likes to be on time? Well, you would say it this way. You would say, I'm always late. Or you could also say, I'm always running late. So I know those are 2 extremes. I know most of us are in the middle. Most of us are usually on time, and sometimes we're late. But if you were to describe yourself, you could say, I like to be on time, or I don't like to be late. Or you could say, I'm always late, or I'm always running late. The second thing I wanted to tell you about myself that you probably don't know is this. I'm a messy person. I'm not a very organized person. My desk is always messy. My vehicles inside are always messy. I'm a messy person. I'm not a very organized person. But what if you wanted to say the opposite? You would say this. You would say, I'm a very tidy person. Or you would say, I'm an organized person. Or you would say, I'm very neat and organized. So just a couple of example sentences to describe your habits around organizing your things. You could say, I'm a messy person, or you could say, I'm a very organized person, or I'm a very neat and tidy person. Sometimes when you are describing yourself in English, you'll want to talk about your childhood. You might want to say things like this. As a child, I loved school. As a child, I liked school. As a child, I didn't really like school. Or as a child, I hated school. Which one of those 4 do you think is true about me? I'll let you think for just a split second. It's actually the first one. As a child, I loved school. It was one of my favorite things to do. I loved learning and I loved going to school every day. So, as a child, I loved school. I'm not sure what your answer would be, but there's 4 choices that you can choose from. Another thing you might want to mention when you're talking about your childhood is what your favorite subject was in school. When I was in school, my favorite subject was French. There's a great example sentence for you. You can remove French and you can insert any other subject. You could say, when I was in school, my favorite subject was math. When I was in school, my favorite subject was science. So another thing you can talk about when you're describing yourself is you can talk about what your favorite subject was in school. I'm going to imagine you weren't surprised that my favorite subject when I was in school was French. It was just awesome. I love that class. I wish I could just be a French student my whole life. I don't play a musical instrument. I'm not a very musical person. I did learn a little bit of piano when I was a kid, but I don't play a musical instrument. Of course, you might play a musical instrument. So if you were describing yourself in English, you might use my sentence if you don't play a musical instrument, but you might use sentences like this. I play the guitar. I play the piano. Whenever you are talking about yourself in English, one of the things you might want to mention to people is if you play a musical instrument and which one you play. I know this might surprise some of you, but I don't watch sports. I mean, I watch sports sometimes, but in general, I don't watch sports. I watch hockey when it's the playoffs a little bit, and I watch the Olympics when they're on, but I don't usually watch sports. But maybe you're the opposite of me. Maybe you do watch sports. In that case, you would say things like this. I watch baseball, or I'm a baseball fan. You could say, I watch football, or I'm a football fan. So if you watch a sport, that's how you would say it. If you are like me and you don't watch a sport, you would simply say, I don't watch sports. I don't play sports. I know that might come as a surprise to you as well, but I don't play sports. I am athletic. I like to walk every day, and I do work out a little bit, but I don't play sports. You might be like me, and then you have some example sentences there that you can use if you are describing yourself, or maybe you do play a sport. In that case, you would simply say things like this: I play baseball, I play basketball, I play soccer. So either you play a sport or you don't. It's always worthwhile mentioning this when you are describing yourself in English, because you might have something in common with the person you are talking to. Sometimes when I mention to someone that I don't play sports, they say, I don't play sports either. So another thing that maybe you didn't know about me, I don't play sports. I did play a little bit when I was a kid, but I don't play any sports right now. The weekend is a great time to sleep in, but here's something interesting about me that you probably don't know. I don't sleep in. Actually, that's not entirely true. It would probably be better to say I rarely sleep in, because I do sleep in a little bit from time to time. So you could say I don't sleep in if you were describing yourself, or you could say I rarely sleep in. But maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you really like sleeping in the mornings. You would then say I sleep in, or I love to sleep in, or I sleep in all the time. I wish I could sleep in more. I think as you get older, it gets a lot harder to sleep in. Well, hey, thank you so much for watching this English lesson where hopefully you learned how to describe yourself by listening to me describe myself in English. If this is your first time here, don't forget to click that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if this video helped you learn just a little bit more English. And if you have some time, why don't you stick around and watch another English lesson.